Hello? Ilan? Bro?
All right, everyone. Welcome. Just
Bro?
share this here.
Hello? Bro, can you hear me? Bro?
Hey, bro, can you do your, sorry, my thing was muted. Are you host?
Yeah,
I can hear you.
Yeah, I've been trying to contact you for 3 minutes.
I forgot that I turned off my volume to go meditate.
I still can't do video.
Okay, let me see.
I'm like, what is going on? I'm playing with all my settings.
Sorry, my thing was muted. All right, awesome. All right, guys, so for all of you that are here, welcome. Do this real quick. Remember, this is a Q&A, so if any of you guys have any questions, now would be the time.
Mm-hmm.
Drop them in the box there. What's up, Tori? Tori, you just can't get enough of us, I think.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's why we have scheduled times. Dude. All right, let me just do the post real quick.
All right, guys. So Tori, Kathleen, who are on here, if you guys have any questions for us, please let us know. And anybody else that's here, just come on, say hi. And anything that's on your mind, you want some insight on, more power around, new perceptions. Let's elevate consciousness today.
I don't know if you were talking to me. I had my volume turned on just so I could do the post real quick.
Nope.
Okay.
Hey, Christy. Christy, I think you've been on here before, right? This is not your first one. Maybe it's your first one. Your name looks familiar. All right, Matt, first to the party with a question. What do you wanted to ask? Interesting. Guys, you got nothing? Seriously? I got tons.
I got something too.
So why don't you ask?
No, I don't have a question. I'm just saying, I have conversations we could be having. But I like the questions.
Yeah. Questions.
Matt, what is specifically about Vipassana? Oh, you're going there. Is that what you're asking? How not to freak out when you're at Vipassana?
Don't freak out. Matt's going the 23rd. Yeah, he's asking how not to freak out.
I don't know. I got nothing. I say if you're supposed to freak out, you'll freak out. Look, Vipassana, for those that don't know, it's a 10-day silent meditation. I did it in 2015 in November. I've had a handful of my friends and associates go there. And it's been a varied experience. Like for me, it was super pleasurable and very peaceful. Other people have had mental breakdowns. People that I know are very strong, like mentally and spiritually. I think it's whatever arises is going to rise. Is like, plant medicines of Vipassana, so much of it is about your consciousness on sensations in your body. And that's the thing with sensations, right? When you don't know what's going to come up. And surrender to the experience as it does is probably one of the bigger lessons. So look, at the end of the day, 10 days is not going to break anybody. Whether it's a really terrible experience or a really wonderful experience, I think whatever arises, whatever sensations you feel, what becomes really clear is the languaging, the meaning, the voice that you're going to add to those sensations. And that's really, for me, where there is to go to work on, is to get to that place where you're not adding meaning to it. You can just be with whatever sensation is in the body. And that's, I think, the beauty of this kind of meditation. So look, I would never approach something with fear. And if you're afraid, that's okay. Don't even make that wrong. It's fine if there's worry or concern or fear. There's no way to predict how a human is going to show up when they stop talking for 10 days. Or when they're not interacting with other humans for 10 days. You don't know. And that's part of it. So for me, I mean, Matt, you know me well enough to know I love running human experimentation. I felt like outside of plant medicine that it was one of the most interesting experiments that I could run on myself. Like, truly think about that. You've never spent a day in your waking memory life not talking, even for one day. So what becomes possible in silence, I don't know. I guess you're going to find out. and I'm very excited about hearing your experience, whether it was negative or positive. I could tell you however you come out of it, how it unravels and unfolds for the months and the years after is really what's most important. You almost have to give yourself, I would say, like a minimum of like an 18-month window after any deep subconscious work to really have a good grasp on what it's providing for you. And those very same people that freaked out or had their little panic attacks or whatever during those experiences today in my circle are the most powerful people I know. So
what do you mean? Because I'm just curious, like maybe just my view on it is slightly different, but what do you mean like by a horrible, difficult experience? I mean, when you're there, are you, I guess maybe this is my perception.
Yeah.
And maybe it's just from medicine, but like all of it is to serve your highest good. It's like your soul is going there to learn so much about itself and connect to itself and all that stuff. Are people there just unaware of that? And then they go there and are kind of in a battle between the physicalness? Like, is that what you mean by a bad experience? I don't really understand how you can have a bad experience.
Well, so I'll repose the question to you. Going into a medicine journey, of course, it's for your higher self, and there are difficult experiences.
Yeah.
That some would call a bad experience. Like, for instance, your wife,
got it.
Our mother had whatever experience she had, and even though that served her highest good, have they been back since?
Gotcha. I see.
Right. So for them,
you're talking the pain.
So people have really uncomfortable sensations. Like, you don't know what's going to arise. It can be very uncomfortable, and you don't necessarily know why it's uncomfortable. It's just uncomfortable. And then there's the mind making up all that stuff. I think, again, for us, like, we do combo, we do medicine. You don't see a lot of like negative stuff coming out of us.
Yeah.
Like, I just did combo with, I just don't want to say, in case they don't publicly know, but
yeah.
A friend that's a girl that's blonde did it with us and had like a lot of yellow stuff come out. Like during combo, like
really?
Yellow, like pent up, negative, whatever. We don't. Like, I'm always clear when I purchase. So what's inside of somebody, who's to say? And another person, like Lauren, did Vipassana and had like a psychosis breakdown for like 2 days.
Wow.
Yeah, you know, where I said, like I mentioned Iboga, like I felt at some point like I was dealing with psychosis. She said she was like that for almost 2 straight days, like depressed, suicidal type stuff.
Wow.
And then like popped out of it, and it was just, you know, like almost like ecstatic pleasure at the same time. So, and like who knows what she's been holding in, that when she started putting consciousness just on sensations alone and allowing that to be there, that's probably trying to been express itself for decades inside of her. And it's built up and built up and built up, and it comes out in an extremely uncomfortable way. And then once that's released, it's like, you know, this whole new person arises. So
yeah. By the way, guys, if you have questions, this is our Q&A session. Feel free to drop them in the box below. So what I've kind of learned, I guess, from plant medicine, and maybe this kind of revolves around this as well, is when you're in there, right? So there's a lot of mental work that we do, and that allows for certain stuff to release, right? Certain stories, certain limiting beliefs, certain thoughts, certain perceptions that are painting our lives. It allows that to exit. When you do this kind of work, whether it's Vipassana or medicine or stuff like that, or combo, it releases on a physical level, whether you understand what is being released or not. And the physical release is generally what I've found, interestingly enough, a much more of a kind of like a euphoric release, because when that stuff's out, even though it's like subconscious out stuff, you feel the impact of it. You're lighter, you might be more relaxed, whatever it is. So I'm curious if in Vipassana it's similar.
I think there's a lot of comparisons to be made between the two. I think what has helped me go so deep with my plant experiences is the fact that I know that I can self-actualize in the same way. However, or not even however, and I believe that, you know, what maybe months, years, decades of practice that come through in Vipassana can be attained within hours on plant medicine.
Yeah.
It's just because that experience is so much more heightened. And again, like I got tastes of that during that meditation, and it took 10 days of 11 hours a day of investment of consciously meditating to even like get a taste of that and not be like, I'm living at that highest level immediately. So look, medicine's a cheat sheet, just the same way the Landmark is a cheat sheet.
Yep.
So like mindset and spiritual development, like what you learn at Landmark within 3 days, it's cuts 30, 40 years of education off your time, and you have the same realizations, observations that one might have on their deathbed, and then they're dead and that was wasted, and they probably die and go, fuck, and they come back down and try again in another body that doesn't remember. So I think plant medicine's the same thing. Like I personally felt like the work that we did in Colombia wasn't like decades worth of work. I felt karmic cycles.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm doing past life, I'm doing future life. I mean, there's a lot of karmic cycles I feel like I now don't have to go through. I started describing my experiences. I think I'm in a light experience. I think for the first time in my life, I could say that I spend a good amount, if not majority, if not almost all my day in a light experience. I didn't even know that was possible, or I didn't know within my human experience. I had never sensed that yet. And there are definitely moments where I'm like, I see my old programming and catch it, and the anguish is there and blah, blah, blah. And it reminds me of like coming off a DMT trip all the time. I know you haven't done that yet, but like when you do DMT, it's a mindless experience. And then when you come back into your body, the mind isn't quite there yet. You can kind of hear it like off in a distance, like whispering its little tones. And then you're like, nah, not yet. Like, just stay there for a minute. I'm good. Like, let me be in my peace. And that's kind of how it's occurring to me now. Like I hear my voice and it's like all the way back there. And I'm like, I got it. I'm listening to you. I'm like, and no, not choosing that experience. Like it's really kind of that simple.
Yeah. Okay. So there's a couple of questions here, switching topics a little bit.
Okay.
But Tori wants to find out about performance enhancing supplements.
Okay.
So start that. So why don't you want me to start answering that?
I mean, I just want specificity. Are we speaking of cognitive enhancers? Are we speaking of physical enhancement?
I think he's talking about cognitive enhancers because
I imagine it is too. Saying that? I mean,
yes.
Whoops, sorry. Are we speaking of cognitive enhancers? Sorry, just reset the page so I can see the comments.
Yeah. Okay.
Go for it.
Yeah, he's a cognitive. So here is my take on cognitive enhancers. I know there's a lot of stuff out there and a lot of stacks and all this stuff. My recommendation is to not do any of those when you start. My recommendation is actually to like piecemeal these things yourself. And the way I tell people to always start is just by taking choline, which is, I can find you the link for the actual type of choline. But choline is something that whether you're taking stacks or not, if there's not choline in it, it's not a good stack. Choline is basically a lubricant for your brain cells. So if you think of your cells as having a lining, right? If that lining is stiff, nothing can really penetrate that cell. So what choline does, it's like omega for your body, like the fatty omega-3s and stuff for your body. So basically like lubricates the cellular wall, so it allows stuff to pass through the cells. So that's first and foremost. Then from there, I used to buy from Powder City, but now they're not doing anything anymore. So their new site is NutraStop. If you go there, I actually just noticed that they actually put together I want to say it's either 5 or 6 sample pack. And the sample pack has 5 or 6, I don't remember, of the racetam family in it. So it'll have paracetam, it'll have phenylracetam, it'll have oxiracetam, chlororacetam, like all the different ones. And what I did was, once I found out that every racetam has a slightly different impact and effect on you as a human being, what I found is that what you want to do is you want to see what your physiology is like, right? So you want to be able to play around with them and track what works for you. So what I did was I would take one for a week and then track how I felt, how I performed, all of that kind of, very subjective metrics points, but just track them. And then I would switch to another one and I would do that other one and kind of do the same, because every person is slightly different. Our physiology is different. And so what will work for one won't work for the other, which is why I say stacks aren't great, because stacks just dump a ton of shit in one pill. And it's like one thing in that stack might do you wonderful, and then something else might make you feel shitty. And then you have no idea. So it's like, when we do marketing, you want to eliminate all the variables. So that's my biggest recommendation. Like, I'll tell you the ones that I take and what I take them for. So paracetam is what I take on a daily basis. So I basically take, what are those scoops? I think like a gram scoop maybe. So it's like 2 grams in the morning with choline. And then after lunch, I will take another 1 gram booster and 2 more choline. So that's pretty much my standard day. If I know that I have a ton of calls or I'm really like delving deep into some project, I like phenylparacetam. That stuff is just incredible in my body. That one, however, you cannot take every single day. So that one you want to reserve for like 1 to 2 days a week. And then if I'm like today, I actually took this other one, which is called adrafinil. And adrafinil is basically, it's like the supplement version of modafinil, which is the medical version of it, or pharmaceutical version of it. And so, like, I had really, really bad sleep last night just due to my shoulder. Like, I couldn't sleep. I then woke up with a pounding headache at like 3 a.m. and it was just bad. So adrafinil actually is like a booster also. So it's got like a waking up aspect to it as well. So if you need to like sustain long spurts of this focus and energy, that's the one I go to. And that's pretty much it. Those are the only 3 supplements I take. Bro, is there anything you want to add?
Yeah, sorry, I was muted. I agree with that, and I would still give a counterpoint. I think it's good to like kind of approach things in that like slow way and just see what works for you. I mean, I promoted Neurohacker on Instagram last week. When I first took it, I had a little bit of a challenge with regulating it, and I think it's because of what Ilan said. It just has a lot of stuff in it. So look. Here's why. So I bought it. This is my second go around with them. They changed their labeling. there's way too many people that I trust and admire that are adamant about this product, that get really great results from it. Some people that are really close to me. I also know the developer of this, and I know his level of genius. I have never met anybody smarter than the person who's produced this product. I've asked a lot of questions about it. There was 2 years in development. I know that it's been actively studied through different third parties and is biomechanically sound, or at least that's the information that I've been given. It's a big boy, and like when I really thought about it, like after buying it again, because it's more expensive than buying just regular nootropic powders that Ilan's talking about. It's an investment, right? But it's an investment in your day, and I really had to look at the days that I had started taking this and the way that it was intended to be taken. And I have to say, I was like some of the most productive days I've had, and felt like I was more emotionally connected. There are a lot of other things that came to it outside of productivity, like empathy and stuff like that. And I know that the more time you spend in that kind of environment, just like if I take plant medicines and I do a prolonged exposure like we did, that immersion process is the reprogramming I'm looking for. So if this, because of its power, is going to help me put me into a state that's actually helping my neuroplasticity, I want to at least run those experiments. I can't say definitively this is good for everybody, right? And it's like Ilan said, it's like, just try it on, right? We say this in marketing all the time, just test it. All I can do is test it. I do know that there's a reason there's a step 1 and a step 2 for this product for exactly that reason, because there's certain things that if you put these things together, it would actually counteract each other. So this is like on an empty stomach, this is after food, for that reason. So I bought it again because the first time, about half the product, I actually didn't do it as intended. And when I started doing it and I helped myself regulate, I really did start feeling some pretty good effects from it. So this time, like I bought it again to really like do a valid test on it. I don't take this every day either. It's recommended to be taken Monday through Friday and give yourself the weekend, like the rest days, basically. So yeah, I do like this stack, and I agree. I do have also phenol and aniracetam, paracetam, and Nupept, and those are things that I take, whenever I feel like that's necessary. I've been doing a lot of testing with modafinil this last week, and that's something I used to just take in like extreme situations. And I have to admit, it's been great to take like half a pill of that, on a day where I just want to just make sure like that whole day is nice and productive and I'm focused. So like I took it this morning. I usually take it on days where I feel like I'm not as well rested as I could be. So I know that I'm not going to be sharp. Modafinil is like a really good thing to just put you like sharp for like the day. And you get like a good 8 to 12 hours off modafinil. And there's what I like about all nootropics is it's no stimulant. Like my heart rate's not up. I'm not overly, like if you take like a big caffeine thing, you're like, like the thermogenesis is going, right? And none of these products do that for me. So I think that there's no one right answer. And I would say for anybody who hasn't tested nootropics, I would at least go try it for yourself.
For sure.
Exclusively. Anybody who's ever asked me, or they say I'm tired or foggy, I'm like, hey, come upstairs. I'm like, I'll give you some nootropics. And they're like, what the hell is that? I'm like, just try it. And then it's one of those things you don't really pay attention to until somebody like calls it into focus. And you're like, so how was your day? So and they're like, you know what? I got a lot of stuff done. I'm like, how was your mood? And they're like, I felt really good. I'm like, is that like above average what you would normally experience? And they're like, yeah, I would say so. Like, I'm like, on your best days you feel that way? Yeah. I'm like, that's nootropics.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say it's really in the background for a lot of people. I mean, phenol is like a little more like pronounced. You actually feel it. But paracetam is beautiful. It's like in the background. And then you'll just notice like, oh my God, I was a genius today on my sales calls, or I wrote this copy and it's the best thing I've ever written. And like you end your day feeling very, very accomplished.
Yes.
And it happens all the time.
Mm-hmm. And I do think there is an element of like increasing empathy with nootropics. Like it actually has you feel more emotionally connected throughout the day, which to me says you're in your creative, which means you're probably more in your like sweet spot zone or whatever you want to call it. I think there's a lot of great benefits to it. And the science on it is little to no side effects. It's like, how many things can you say about that? The one side effect to it is it tastes like shit.
I actually don't even taste it anymore, really.
You get used to it, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's funny because I always forget that, and then I give it to people. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. It
tastes like shit. Yeah, I mean, I'll just say that with paracetam specifically, It's been studied. I think it's been used for like 60 or 70 years. Originally, it wasn't used as a cognitive enhancer. Originally, they would just give people a ton of paracetam if they suffered asphyxia. So like if you couldn't breathe for a long time, basically what happens is your brain shuts down, right? Like it starts shutting down. And so when you would revive you, they would just give you a shit ton of paracetam, because what it allows is for more oxygen and more blood to flow to your brain. So it would stop people from having brain damage. Then that led to them dealing with people that have that are overcoming alcohol addiction, right? To help them restore their brain. And now what they're finding out is that it stops all sorts of neurological conditions like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's and all these different things, because it keeps your brain healthy. To Kathleen's point, who's saying she can't get modafinil, you don't have to get modafinil from your doctor. There are plenty of websites. I don't get it from a doctor. I buy modafinil online. There are plenty of whatever, like the generic versions of modafinil. I think like Modalert or whatever it's called. It's infinitely cheaper. My dad tried to get a modafinil prescription and his insurance wouldn't cover it. It was $900 for 30 pills.
Wow.
I think we get I bought last time probably like 200 pills, and it was maybe like, I don't know, $250 or something. And they last me forever. We obviously don't take them every day. And I recommend, by the way, if you take them, to definitely not take more than half when you start, or it's a big jolt.
Yeah, I could not take a full pill. Yeah, there are many times I'd take a quarter and it's plenty for me.
Yeah, exactly. So I would, Kathleen, I would definitely just look online. You don't need to get it from a doctor.
Yeah. For those of you guys who are interested, I did put the neurohacker link in there, and I cut a deal with Daniel so that anybody who uses Satori 10 can save 10% on that as well. So if it is a stack you're interested in, you guys can do research. Jason Silva is promoting the product. I mean, it's the only product I've ever seen him promote. So I don't know how they got that deal, whether it's a friendship or paid, but that says something about it.
They definitely have good marketing. I'll give them that.
Yeah. I know the team behind it. I know the investors behind it. I mean, it's some really fucking smart people. I shit you not when I say Daniel's the smartest person I have ever met in my life.
Here's my issue with stuff like that, and I ran that product by Beck.
Yeah, I know.
And the problem is that when people like True Brain, for example, is the only stack that I ever got, the only product I ever got stack wise that I thought fulfilled on its promise. And the reason is because it had 3 ingredients in it or 4 ingredients in it. It's like when you start mashing all of this stuff together, they actually fight against each other. And
Well, look, I'm just looking at it right now. They're not all nootropics in here.
Yeah.
It's B12, artichoke, radiola. There is some fennel, acetyl, right? Acetyl L.
Yeah.
L-theanine, Nupept, which is a strong paracetam, basically. I don't know what those other ones are. So we're not talking like they're throwing 5 billion nootropics together. And then the second part has acetylcholine in it, like you said.
Yeah.
Mostly this is just vitamins. There's different Bs. Actually the second one has no nootropics in it at all. I think it actually just supports the nootropic,
the nootropic effect.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And one last thing I'll just say about nootropics, you want to mess with dosages. So like when someone first introduced me to it, they were like, take 2 grams in the morning, 2 grams in the afternoon, 1 gram at night. And I found that I started playing with like my dosages, and I found that if I take 2 grams and 2 grams, I actually get a dip. Like I get more tired in the second half of the day. Mm-hmm. So I scaled back that second one to 1, and it just keeps me like nice and going. And if I wanted another boost, like if I was working later or something like that, I could always take another one and it would do the same thing. So again, you just got to mess with that.
Yeah, and I think a good takeaway even from this conversation is there's no one right answer. Like clearly Ilan and I know Ilan's tried and Qualia also, and I know you also didn't really quite take it like in the intended way, mostly because we had a lot of experience with nootropics before.
No. I did it. I did it for 2 weeks straight.
Oh, you did? Okay, yeah.
So, exactly.
Again, right? Like different biology, different results. So
yeah, exactly. And like I know, what's the other one you like? Aniracetam?
I do like Aniracetam, yeah.
So Aniracetam for me just makes me exhausted. Like I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
One of them, chlororacetam, made me like depressed.
This whole thing is aniracetam.
Yeah. That chlororacetam, for example, made me depressed. And that's like, people swear by that. Oxiracetam also had like a tiring effect on me. So again, you just got to mess with your thing.
Yep.
All right, Kathleen, we'll get to your question. I just want to go to Tim Sawyer's question first because it kind of aligns with this cognitive enhancer stuff. And Tim Sawyer is asking about bulletproof coffee. I have to tell you guys, the two biggest things in my life that I found in the last 5 years, I'm talking from like a performance enhancing, not like result enhancing, performance enhancing, is bulletproof and nootropics. Bulletproof coffee changed so many things for me, mostly because it made me hyper aware. So like my day, as in most people's days, right? When you eat or when you're on a normal diet, right? Like you'll have breakfast, you'll feel good, you get tired right before lunch, you'll have lunch, and then right after lunch, you have that big fucking dip, and then kind of like slowly come out of it. You have a little bit more performance, and you get tired. So I would be on these waves constantly in my life, and I had no idea that it was because of the way that I was eating. I kind of always knew that it had to do something with like, I would just say like, oh, my blood sugar is low. And I would get what we call hangry. Like I wouldn't eat. I would get really pissed off. So I started drinking bulletproof coffee. And for the first time, like I would drink bulletproof coffee, then I'd have lunch. And like, I would just notice how throughout the whole day, I was just like, no crash, no nothing. And more than that, I would notice that when I ate certain foods, I would actually have a crash. So I became hyper aware of what I was putting in my body from a fuel food perspective. And that to me, aside from the effects of bulletproof coffee, which I still drink every day, I mostly actually don't drink it with coffee today. I drink it with yerba mate. So I make like a mate bulletproof, I guess. But having said that, it was such a dramatic change for me in my diet and for me being more aware of what I put in my system. Because when you start your day with this like boost, you know that anything that's bringing you off of that boost is bad for your system. And even if it's like a good food, for your system, that food does not work. And so that kind of started me on this epic journey. And then I started working with functional medicine doctors and things like that to really get granular about it. But I can't again, every person is different. And physiologically, you know, like certain people have horrible experience with bulletproof. And again, I think bulletproof is one of those things, that you can like mess around with. So Leon contacted me the other day, by the way, and told me that he started doing bulletproof in his own version.
Right. And that's what I do. I do my own version of bulletproof.
Exactly. So like, again, the fundamentals behind it are accurate. You're putting the best type of fats in your body first thing in the morning. So you get the metabolism rocking and rolling, shoots up, right? And then it just stays there and you can sustain and not basically eat for another at least 4 to 6 hours, depending on your day. So your first physical meal, depending on when you wake up and whatever, like I drink mine now at around 6:30 in the morning, and then I'll eat at like 11:30. Yeah. So I kind of like ended at like that 4 or 5 mark. But that's still between stopping to eat, say like 7, 8 p.m. to then going to like 11:30 or 11, let's say, you're talking like a 15-hour fast.
Yeah, not to mention, the brain requires fat to run. That's like basically it's fuel. So I'll just give again my experience, right? Like I did bulletproof. I gained weight. It's probably because I was doing too much butter or whatever. MCT oil made me depressed, like literally made me suicidal, like 2 months in, which is super strange and very rare. I don't think anybody needs to concern themselves that MCT oil does that. I started all these protocols at one time and I did bulletproof at the same time. And I was like, I literally felt chemically imbalanced. Like I was not okay. And then I started taking myself off all these things and nothing was making me feel better. And the day I was like, okay, well, the only thing I haven't taken myself off is coconut oil, which would never, and I eat coconut oil like regularly. I cook with it and everything else. It's never caused me any issues, but MCT oil is like very concentrated coconut oil. I think it's 6 times concentrated coconut oil. And the day I took myself off it, I immediately felt like myself again. And then I took it the next day in a spoonful, and I wanted to like murder somebody. And I was like, holy freak. I'm like a spoon, literally. I'm like, wow, it's the MCT oil. So when I do coffee now, I still do butter, but I do a small little sliver of it. You really don't need much. At least I don't need much. And then I put collagen in mine, which is flavorless, and you put in everything. I personally think collagen is one of the most underrated supplements out there right now. It's probably one of the most important things to take. After 26, your collagen levels just tank. I think a lot of reasons why people see a lot of aging, hair loss, their skin starting to age very quickly is a lack of collagen. And collagen is so important because in Western societies, when we eat meat, we eat the muscle tissue, right? We eat muscle tissue and flesh, unfortunately, to some degree. And the muscle tissue and flesh actually has an inflammatory response in the body. If you were to eat bone marrow and organs, they actually have an anti-inflammatory response in the body. So if you eat the whole animal, it's like it creates homeostasis. If you're just eating one part of the animal, you're actually inflaming your body all the time. And that goes for red meat and everything else. So when you start taking collagen, you're giving it the anti-inflammatory properties that you would have gotten from food. I had, Ilan knows, like neck pain, like severe neck pain here for about 7 or 8 years, to the point where like long plane rides for me, I like grit my teeth. I don't know why in airplanes it must be with the pressure, something happens in there. And I go into a lot of pain. And within under a week of taking collagen, pain went away. It has not come back since. Like it cured me. It blew me away. It expanded my mind so much that I told my dad, I'm like, hey, I think you guys should really get on collagen. My dad has had a knee problem for years. Like he stopped working out because of it. The day he took collagen, the knee pain went away. So it's just the pain so often is just an inflammatory response in the body. And if you could just create anti-inflammatory, that's why turmeric is really important. So like in my coffee, I put turmeric, I put cardamom, I put cinnamon. These are all cleansing agents. Like one cleans out your liver, one cleans out your kidneys, right? And I think for a lot of reasons, this is why Ilan and I do like purification stuff with like combo and other medicines. You really don't find much in our body because we're in some protocols that are consistently cleansing the body. And I'm very conscious of anti-inflammatory type stuff, like putting anti-inflammatory things into my body. So that's kind of my bulletproof. I do like a health coffee drink in the morning. It doesn't always taste great because sometimes I put glutamine in there and that kind of tastes like shit. I don't do it for the flavor. I genuinely do it for the well-being.
Yeah. Okay. Kathleen, I just posted in there. I read your comments, but I wasn't clear what the actual question was. Like I get your situation, but I couldn't really get a sense of what the actual question is. All right. Matt is asking, would you suggest us to attend Landmark, or can we get all of that? Or can we get all that of Landmark from your coaching?
Yeah, so I put it in the box. You could, and again, like we talk about immersion experiences all the time. To me, anything immersive, you're going to get the most value from. If you spend 2 or 3 days with Ilan and I, like endlessly having conversations, without a doubt, you're going to have those kind of insights. The reason we like Landmark, we have our Ascension program, which is a year-long coaching program. And we do put our students through minimum the Landmark Forum. And partly the reason for that is we just want to elevate and escalate the learning curve. So Ilan and I, like we can do the mommy daddy work and all that like deep-rooted work stuff. However, like when there's a program that's been tested and proven for 60 years that consistently for 99.9% of people that go there, they have massive breakthroughs. That's great. Ilan and I, like while we like doing that work, it's not exactly where our passion lies. What we want to do is we want to throw a rocket ship on your back once that work has been done. That work is more interesting to us. So we choose to leverage that education to give you that experience. And then, you can ask David, who's on here, and a few other people who've done the work. It's super profound. And then like the velocity, you'll know velocity with you. So the velocity that we can then add from that growth of that experience, we can save you, a decade's worth of education.
And I'll just add one other thing. So plain and simple, for the money, it is hands down the best education on the planet that I've ever experienced. Like second to none. I've been to Tony Robbins. I've worked with amazing coaches for the money. Like I walked out of Tony Robbins UPW. I was like, like he's a fucking god. He's a genius amongst men. Course material, like value from that course, it's not even, you'd get more from like an intro at Landmark than you would from UPW. It is incredible. And what I'll tell you is the experience of the education, that's really profound. So, you know, the tools and the distinctions and all that stuff that they do is really, really amazing. Being in that room. So like my mom, for example, we've been in the work for like at least 2 years at that point, maybe even more. Like yeah. And my mom just refused to go to the Landmark Forum. And I was like, look, why do you not want to do the Landmark Forum? And she's like, listen, at that point, me and my brother and my dad had all done it for 3 years. And Guy and I were like actively in there. You know, we were like assisting every couple of months and like constantly in that conversation. So she definitely heard a lot of it. And I was like, I get all that. It's the experience. So she's like, I don't know. So one day I was like, fuck this. Like, it's unacceptable that the woman I love most in my life does not get this experience. So I come home and I was like, Mom, if I came to you and I said, I saw the best Broadway show, would you go see it? She's like, yeah, no question. I was like, if I come back and I'm like, Mom, I ate at this amazing restaurant, would you eat there? She's like, yeah. If I said, hey, this is an incredible wine, like, would you drink it? She's like, yeah, not even a question. I was like, Landmark is like all of those mashed together and it's better than all of them. It's literally like one of the greatest experiences. Like you laugh, you cry, it's introspective. The things you listen, you hear, you'll never hear in any other room. And I was like, you're missing the greatest show on earth, literally the greatest show on earth. And she's like, you know what? I never looked at it that way. I'm going to go. Now, this is a woman that's been around the conversation for like 2+ years at this time. And she comes back and is like blown wide open. I mean, like I had no idea. She'll tell you hands down, it was like one of the greatest experiences of her entire life. Mm-hmm. There's just something really, really magical about that space and that education. And that's why even, you know, David is in our Ascension program, and we send our Ascension members that haven't done it to that experience just because I do believe it's that fucking good. And we get nothing for it. Like, we're not affiliates with them. They don't have affiliate programs. It's a tremendous program. And like I said, it allows us to, with our people, move like from base level to just like whoop, and then just fly from there, which is really, really helpful. So yeah, highly recommend. Okay, there's one other question here, and then Amy, I'm going to grab yours. One second. Okay, so Matt, I'll come back to you because we just answered one of your questions, and Amy just posted another one. So Amy says, just listen to your podcast, so apparently it's a SatoriPrime kind of day. Question, is your coaching program an ongoing program that people can jump into at any time, or do you have a beginning and an end date specific sessions? So there's a few different options that you can work with SatoriPrime. So I'm going to go from the topmost level and then just kind of work my way down to the other options. So at the topmost level, if someone wanted to work with us one-on-one, meaning you speak to us once a week for an hour, you get to do like full day workshops with us. You get to come on retreats with us, all that kind of stuff. That package for 12 months is 120 grand. Okay. So that's that highest level package. And again, we've worked with people. So if they're like, what, I don't want to meet once every week, like I want to meet once every 2 weeks, like we can figure out different packages. That's that. Then from there down, we have our Ascension program. And our Ascension program is a 12-month program. That's the program that Kat Smith's in, Tori's in, David's in, and there's a bunch of others. And that program is a 12-month program. You get to be part of our Have It All Academy for the year. And in addition to that, you get us one-on-one, and those calls are usually, it's every 2 weeks for about 30 minutes. And it's a custom-made journey for you. So basically, like, we do an intake call with you. We do an interview, and that interview is about an hour and a half to 2 hours long. We just had someone come in. It was like about an hour and 45 minutes. And we just ask you questions. And what we're trying to get related to is where you're at now and where you want to go. And then Guy and I discuss and figure out what are the gaps for you to get there with velocity, not in the way that you normally get to things like, this is how I got to do. And no, like leaps, like, you know, jump from one way to the other. And then we structure it. And every quarter during that program, we actually send you to an event. So like Landmark Forum is one that we generally start everyone with unless they've gone to it. People have gone to meditation courses. People have gone to communication courses. We're doing a reading, like an astrological reading for someone with someone like really, really special. So plant medicine ceremonies, we curate it for where you are in your journey. Okay. So that one right now is $20,000 for the year. So that's to work with us there. And then the Have It All Academy. And by the way, that one, again, Amy, and like, so the one-on-one and the Ascension program, you get in whenever you want because it's one-on-one with us, right? Like you can start whenever you want. The Academy, which has been going on now since probably like a year and a half, bro, right? Like I think since October of last year. So a little bit, about a year and a half. So that one you can come in at any time. That one is $297 a month. You can pay monthly. We have packages where if you buy like a 3-month or 6-month package, it actually lowers the price of it. And that one, again, you can jump in at any given time and you get access to also the recorded trainings that were done previously. So what we actually recommend when someone comes in is that they go and they watch at least the first 7 of the recorded trainings. And that's how it's structured for now. We're rejiggering the entire Have It All Academy experience for those that are coming in. We just hired someone to do we're super excited about it. It's like a gamified back office where you go through the process of these and actually do like little things to get goals and little tests that you do and opportunities to grow and all that stuff. And like, it kind of takes you through this path. And we're actually going to have a SatoriPrime app for the first time. So once this launches, you guys will be able to get like daily motivational messages from us, exclusive videos that will just be shared. It's also going to have a SatoriPrime only community chat board. So like people that are going through different programs are all going to be in this one place together, communicating. You can communicate through the app. It's going to be super, super sweet. So we're really, really excited about that. So Amy, I hope that answers your question. Yeah, and David and Kat, who have been through Landmark, David couldn't agree more, and Kat is all true. It's unexplainably amazing. Yeah, it's some serious work there. All right, so Kathleen.
By the way, I'll drop a link for our group coaching program so you guys can take a look at that.
Yes. You know, bro, what I just got as a download, that what we may want to do is when we launch this new webinar, we may want to run it here in this group and see how people that are fans of ours relate to it and respond to it as like, does it speak our message?
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like if you tell me if you guys think that's a good idea, because we're writing out like a whole script for a webinar right now. So I'm just curious what you guys think about that. All right, so Kathleen, let me read this. I'm having a little bit of baddies in my head. I want to maintain peace and my family want to engage in negativity. Okay, clear. I'm struggling to stay in the now. I escape to my inner space. However, everyday shit drags me away from the peaceful place. How can I cope better instead of wanting to rip everyone's heads off? I'd be really happy if my family didn't speak some days. They yell at me for not paying attention because I'll zone them out as I try to not engage in their pettiness, except my human pops up and roars them all to shut the fuck up. Not nice, I know. I need the quiet to come up with the solutions to their problems, wants and needs day in and day out. Okay, you want to take a stab?
I mean, the first thing that comes up for me is they're clearly not having the experience of being listened to. Yes. When people are yelling, it's in response to us not paying attention to them. So we feel like, okay, well, if you can't hear me here, let me raise my voice and then maybe you'll hear me. What that points to, though, Kathleen, what you don't want to hear is that you have all sorts of out of integrities with your family. At some point, and what I mean by that is like broken agreements, whether they were spoken agreements or just assumed agreements, that's still an agreement. And as we break agreements with people, we have this feeling like, well, if enough time passes, like we'll just forget and move on. And it's like sweeping shit under the rug. You know, if you sweep enough dirt under the rug, there's still going to be a bump under the rug, and you're going to trip over it. A loss of power in any relationship is an out of integrity. When people stop listening to each other, it's an out of integrity. When there's no communication and it's a breakdown, it's out of integrity. It's always out of integrity. So by externalizing and saying my family's crazy, it reflects that off of you from having to do the internal work that would have you look at how it is that you're sourcing this relationship and actually creating these circumstances. And what you get out of it is you get to be right about your family, that they're crazy and that they don't respect you or treat you or don't believe what you believe, whatever it is. And that's all wrapped up into your identity. So your identity is like, maybe part of your identity is I'm an outsider. I know it was for me, by the way, right? And then it's like that identity will create judgment of other people while perceiving that everyone's judging you, stuff like that. So, yeah, and this is exactly the kind of work we do, is how to uncover these these subconscious beliefs that are inside of you that are actually ruining and breaking your relationships while you're like blaming everybody around you for being assholes when it's really you're the asshole. And it's not to say like you're the asshole and they're not. Like every human on this planet more or less is an asshole. We've all done something wrong to somebody. We've all acted out of integrity. So I'm not like pointing the finger at you going like, oh, Kathleen, you bad girl. It's just a perspective to look from. Any relationship that you want to function, if you're waiting for them to change, you are going to wait until you die. Unless they do, unless they really get interested in their own development. And even then, you can't be like, I hope that during their developmental process, I pop up and they fix this thing, you just don't know. So if it's important to you, if relationships are important to you, there's only one ever solution, and that's putting yourself in the seat of responsibility. I want to make sure that when I say responsibility, you guys understand that's distinct from fault and blame. Responsibility to me is not a moral issue. Integrity to me is not a moral issue. It becomes a moral issue when it's lapsed with fault and blame. And in our world, how we train people, these two things are completely distinct from one another. If fault and blame worked, then politics would be the most amazing thing on the planet. But it doesn't. And it doesn't work in your own life when you use guilt, shame, or any of that stuff on yourself or anybody else either. In fact, it actually strengthens and keeps you more where you are, with the illusion that by guilting yourself, you're learning some kind of lesson. And you don't learn shit when you're in guilt. You just become a victim, and you become a victim while they become more of a villain. So the more you go into your victim role, the more they become the villains. That's just how it goes. And then there's also the hero. So it's kind of the victim, the villain, and the hero are usually like the three roles people can play. So that's all it is that I'm saying about that. You could take that or leave it. I've never seen things. Yeah, I've never seen anybody transform a relationship that they haven't taken responsibility for. Yeah. So one other thing inside of relationships, and I'm just honing in this last line that you said here, which is, I need the quiet to come up with a solution to their problems, wants, and needs. Have you told them that? Generally, the way we operate is we live in a world that other people operate the way we do. So we don't see them as they are. We just see as we are in other people. And especially in relationships, a relationship is a game of sorts, okay? The problem is that the game and the rules of said game are very, very rarely discussed. The only relationships that I know work have set rules. Like, I expect this.
I prefer that. Here's how I like to be communicated to. Here's how I don't like to be communicated to. Here's what I require. Here's what I need. Here's what I'm able to provide. Does this work for you? Like, you get all of this stuff out there. Because otherwise, you're in a game with players that don't know what the game is. And so there's only one outcome of that. They're just going to disappoint you time and time again. It's impossible for them to show up any other way because they don't know that they're playing the game. It's like, imagine you wanted to play basketball and you brought your entire family onto a basketball court and you started playing, but you didn't explain to them the rules of the game. It wouldn't really pan out, right? So one of the things that I think everyone can be responsible for in relationships is get interested and actually communicate with people and be like, what works for you? Here's what every relationship needs: love, support, acceptance. That's it. That's the only thing you have to provide somebody. Love, support, acceptance. If someone knows that they're loved by you, supported by you, and accepted by you, they're great. That's it. So if that's the case, you want to get really interested on, how can I provide you love? How do I provide you support? And how do I show you that you're accepted? Not the way that you think you do that for others, the way that they receive that from you. And then you get to give them that. So like it's a great book. It's a really simple book. It's not like earth shattering. It's just an interesting cut at it, is The 5 Love Languages. Right? So there's like, every single person has different love languages. People like to receive presents. People like to be acknowledged. People like to be touched. So once you understand what someone's love language is, you can actually communicate in that way. So I have these conversations with my kids. I've had these conversations with my wife. Like, it's really important to me not to show up the way I think I need to show up to them, but the way that they want me to show up to them. So I would just offer you that, like, instead of, a simple thing is like, by the way, guys, I know you come to me to ask me all these questions. The way that I process this information is by going inside and I get silent. And then I can come back out and answer your questions. To them, they're clearly thinking that what you're doing is you're zoning out because it hasn't been communicated. So I just wanted to offer you that. I think that's
a simple exercise that we do with our coaching clients is an interview process. I'm not going to do it because it would be a little bit irresponsible without the context. But there's a way that you can create kind of like an interview process where everything that your family has been trying to say to you for like decades that always seems like negative feedback, you can actually fully accept and listen to it. And because you fully accept and listen to it, I cannot tell you how many people's lives we change simply because we listen. Because they truly do not have anybody who listens to them anymore in their lives with any sort of integrity because they've lost it all. So in their environment, there's legitimately no experience that they have of being listened to.
Yes.
And the moment they get listened to, it releases, because there's a huge difference between sharing something and complaining about something. Most people on this planet don't know the difference quite yet. It's a vibrational frequency that you're using. With sharing, we release. With complaining, we continue to create. A persistent complaint will always keep sharing what you have. We'll always keep creating what you don't want. So people complain about things. Like, if I can't complain about it enough, I complain it away, when the complaint is actually creating more of that experience for you, literally. And biologically, we can prove this. So with sharing, it's a process of letting go. So it's the same thing for them. When you allow them to fully share their experience of you, and you can fully receive it and accept it without turning it into judgment about yourself, it creates a void and a space for transformation where you can start seeking a new future together with that person. And you might be thinking like, well, how can I fully embrace all this negativity? Because it's not really negativity. It's really just feedback on how you're showing up in your environment. And if you can receive it, so mostly like people tell us stuff about ourselves and they volunteer information and we're not ready to listen to it. So we get resistance and then we become a victim. And then we start complaining, and now they were just trying to share something with you in an attempt to let it go and transform it. That's what was happening. And then we make it about ourselves, And then this whole thing becomes about me. Why are you doing this to me? How dare you say this to me? And they're like, what the fuck? This was just about me a second ago. How did you make this about you, you fucking cocky asshole? You know, and then that goes back and forth. And then you start throwing stuff at them. They go into their victim or they go into their villain. And it becomes this really negative dance. And here's the thing. We just do that for such a long period of time. It becomes automation. And on top of automation, it becomes survival because the brain goes, well, we survived that before. We'll survive it again. So let's create more of that. It doesn't care the emotional impact of that. Your body cares about the emotional impact, right? The mind uses language. The body uses feelings. Yeah. So the body's feeling that stuff. But again, for most people, your mind and your body are so disconnected that they're having two different experiences. That's why you can't manifest anything in your life because your mind's like, I want $1 million. Your mind's like, fuck off. You told me you're not worthy for 35 years. Right. And you're creating a chakra misalignment. So your head is here and your chakra is over here. And it's like, there's no flow down to the root chakra. You can't create anything. That's your tantric energy. That's your creation energy. So for people who are like, I use the secret and I know what to do. No, you don't. You think it's doing, right? And the secret, the manifestation ability is all in the vibrational frequency of the body. If you think you're going to manifest with your head, you're wrong. Dead out. Just telling you. You ain't going to manifest shit in that world. And I'm not saying like you can't accomplish anything. The mind is a very powerful tool. But what you can create that is going to be like, oh, look at all these things I'm receiving in my life. Isn't that lovely? And it's like a hose trickling. When you align vibrational frequency in your body, it's a waterfall. That you're just like, oh, like, holy shit. There's so much coming at me. This is amazing. And that's the difference. Most people are like, barely have a hose trickling right now. And they're like, all right, well, I know everything about manifestation. I watched the movie. Like, you know, and it's a practice like any other. It's just when you have to get it like you get balance on a bicycle. Otherwise, it's just conceptual to you. And that balance has to be felt. You need to really, like, your body has to experience that vibration and that balance and that love and its ability to manifest. And once the mind sees that, the mind releases a lot of what it's been hanging on to and actually starts taking a back seat and allowing the heart and the inspiration to lead your life versus cognitive thought and understanding and logic, which, again, serves to a degree, but is extremely limiting, in my opinion.
Oh. All right, broski, top of the hour.
Cool.
Shai just came out to point out to me that I told him, he asked me every day, when are you going to be upstairs? And I tell him a time. So like it was 6, I saw it and I just heard his little footstep coming down the stairs. He's like, Abba, you said you were going to be done by 6.
Yeah, that's integrity, baby.
I love it. I love it. So guys, as always, thank you for being here. Thanks for the great questions.
Yes.
Those that posed. Love having you guys. Keep coming back. If you found this valuable and you want to share this with others that you think this would be an interesting message for them to hear, please do so. Also, by the way, if you haven't subscribed to our podcast, definitely do that. I've had people come out of the woodwork recently that were like, I've listened to each show 3 times. I was like, I didn't even know you listen. So yeah, if you love these conversations, you'll absolutely love those things. We actually have taken some of the live calls and turned them into podcasts because they've been that good. And there's a ton of others. So love you guys.
And then like real quick parting words. So Kathleen, for me, like if that area of life is impacting you and you are interested in looking at how to get that transformed, come work with us. Like I'm telling you, handleable, quickly,
easy.
Like I don't want to say easy because then it makes it seem like, all right, well, the expectation, like time set, it's going to be what's going to be. I don't know how much resistance you have to taking responsibility in your life. And there's plenty of people here who've been in our coaching programs. Feel free to ask them for feedback. I know that that's handleable. Yeah. Like in a high degree, completely different experience of your family, transformed, communication in, experience of love, holy fuck wow type of experience. That's what our work is about. So if you want to get that handled,
holy fuck wow.
Holy fuck wow. That's the new hashtag.
Holy fuck wow. I like that.
Cripples they cause holy fuck wow.
I like that. We should go with that.
Yeah. So there we go. Love you. Thank you for being here though and supporting. And I hope that, you know, it might feel like a punch in the stomach. I lean into it, honestly. Like that's good. Stuff is like they're like, oof, right? Because that's the opportunity right there to really get related to what's going on. so that you can alter it. If your anticipation is like some circumstance or people are going to change, then I'm going to feel good. You're gonna wait till you go to the grave with that.
right.
So I really invite you to do the work.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody. Love you guys.
Love you guys.
Talk to you soon.